And good night.
Yes. Thank
all
you.
I got.
Thanks,
That's all I got.
Woodsy.
Good evening, everybody in here, out there, all around the world, for joining us this evening. I am Ryan. To my left or right, depending on how the screen is laid out, is Ron. And below us is Eric, living in the basement.
Mm-hmm.
So, gentlemen, how have you been? It feels like we haven't seen each other in several months.
Yeah, it's been a hot minute.
It has been. It's been a very school's finished for the year.
Yeah.
I'm about to go on summer vacation for
Oh, wow.
for a week.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty hectic, very busy. Eric is shaking his head. Like, did they not let you have summer vacation?
I can't remember 2 weeks back, so it doesn't mean anything to me.
Okay, Eric has the main brain ability of remembering as a goldfish. Perfect.
No, it's just that Eric was the basis for this movie, where if this guy doesn't create a memento after 2 or 3 minutes, he'll forget whatever that thing was. But the memento would always help him remember.
Right.
I think that movie was
Speed.
I can't remember shit.
The bus that could never slow down.
Yes.
Which, by the way, if you search in, I think we've already said this, but if you search that on IMDb, it brings up Speed.
It does. I think that's such a cultural touchstone that they had to do that.
Almost could say it's a memento.
Yes.
Ooh, full circle. See, we did completion by return. That was good. It's good. So, gentlemen, what is new? What have you been up to? What?
Eric, you go first.
I fixed my old laptop that Garth sent me.
Now, are those load-bearing stickers?
They are.
Yes, they have to be. It's one of the reasons why the screen hinge is broken on this. You know, all the stickers.
So heavy.
Yeah.
Is that the sticker with electricity?
Right. The power jack broke. The solder joint, and then one half of the mount also broke on it.
Okay.
So
pretty common for most laptops. I had a Dell
and
laptop recently that cracked in half. Same reason. The hinge just exploded.
And the teardown on these is not bad. It's, of course, an iBook is my kind of scale there, but
your benchmark.
Didn't take too long. Take it apart.
And what is it?
It's a Macintosh PowerBook G3. This one's a Wall Street.
Okay, cool. Neat. I purchased a Kanga, I believe. I don't remember. I have to pick it up on my way to on my vacation this coming week. It's about 3.5 hours outside of the town, but I bought it. I believe it's a Kanga. I don't remember. It's been that long.
Well, if you get there and it's considerably smaller, it's a roux.
It's a roux. Isn't it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it's
and
a
if it's got its head stuck in a honey pot,
it's
a filthy poo.
That is true.
Yeah, the spare I have, I picked up last year, is a PDQ, so it's a little bit performs a bit better.
Nice. So before we continue, I guess one of the things we didn't do is go down through our chat and say hello to everybody. Ron, would you like to say hello to our great people?
Hi, great people. But more specifically, Dave from Dave's Vintage Apple Tech is here. I80386SX, who needs absolutely an easier to say name.
Yes.
Jamie's Hack Shack, CDI, and Garth Beagle, and Mr. Pico Gus himself, Ian Scott, is here.
I have important questions for Ian. Does the Pico Gus make sandwiches yet? It seems to have all the other features, but I think that's a key feature that's missing.
You have to use sudo in front of it.
Sudo make me a sandwich?
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay.
And build a robot.
Right, for the application.
Yes. But it'll sound great.
Yes. It'll sound delicious. Yeah, cool. That's exciting. So, Eric, is that completely done now? You've got that to the place, to the, restored to what you're happy with?
Yeah. I might tackle the hinges if I can find replacements.
Now, I feel as though, if I remember correctly, doesn't Colin have 3D print files for a lot of the PowerBook and iBook hinges?
I think that's to replace the mounting. This is the hinge itself is crap.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
They like to give up. But if it's anything like the action figure community or several other things, what they just do is they just dump enough CA glue into the hinge where it locks in position, and then you just break it, but you break it the right way the second time, and you get enough friction to where it won't just like slam down on you.
Yeah.
There are videos all over the YubTubs that show people doing that. That's a big thing, especially on like, if you think about, because you know the Transformers, right?
Yeah.
More
Robots
than
in
the
disguise.
AIs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess a lot of the old ones, the joints and stuff are real loose, so they just a little dab in there, and then you just kind of work the joint until it tightens up, and then they're like perfect. I'm like,
so I feed mine glucosamine for their
yes.
joints, and that seems to help them.
Mm-hmm.
I just throw it a milk bone every now and then.
Yeah. I normally just use garlic brand garlic, and I've never had a problem with that. So.
Okay, there you go.
But I noticed one hinge is fine. It's the other one. It's like half broken. So
yeah,
I'm just careful.
I'm sorry to hear that. That's no fun.
Yeah.
Oh well, at least you're saving it. You know?
Yes, and it's got. I went ahead and put 9.2 on it instead of 8.6 is what I usually use, so I could test things out.
Cool. Is your plan to use this for some sort of Marcintosh, maybe computer, or
pretty far away?
Well, sometimes you got to start planning.
I'd make it through the end of July and Tosh first. Come on.
I'm focused on VCF Midwest right now. It'll probably go on the tabletop as a display unit for the game.
Cool.
With a brick behind it to hold the screen up.
A series of stickers holding it up. That's all you need. Yeah. Cool. All right, and Ron, what have you been up to? I know that if I'm not mistaken, K-Fest was last week.
Actually, I'll tell you what. This last, it's been a hot minute since we've been together, and I know you guys have had a couple of episodes where I haven't been here.
Yeah.
Mostly because I've had a bunch of travel for work. I've had things going on that has just pulled me away where I haven't been somewhere. I'm driving at this time, or I am. I've had a couple of interviews that I lined up with people, and they were like, "Oh, I'm free on Friday from like 6 to 8 p.m." And then you're like, "Okay, sounds great." And then so it's like you think it's an hour interview. I can make this work, and then they show up at like 6:45. So like, well, that's okay. That's okay too. But
yeah.
I've got a couple things in the hopper on that, but Kansas Fest was just last weekend. I'm sure that everybody has followed along with that a little bit, but normally that is a in-person event that takes place kind of at the towards the end of July, midpoint of July, something like that. Just depends on kind of when it gets booked. But last year, the event was at UIS. Which is Springfield, the University of Illinois Springfield. It's a cool campus. Had a lot of fun there. The only problem was they had moved some things around this year, and that kind of had a little bit of a community backlash, and a lot of people were kind of like very much upset. So the decision was made to make it a virtual only event this year, and so we went through Friday, Saturday, Sunday of last week. Basically just streamed everything, did all the interviews remotely, had people do their presentations, just kind of live, and published it to a unlisted YouTube stream. The event itself went pretty good. There were some really, really great sessions. People showed off cool new products. People showed off neat hacks and things like that. So if people are interested in checking some of that out, if you go to YouTube and you search for Kansas Fest, you can, as of today, watch all 3 days of streaming. It's out there and you can check it out. If you want to see the sessions broken up into like little individual segments, those will all be going up tomorrow morning. It might be a little later than that. It just depends. I think the person that holds the keys on that might be out of town at the moment. But hopefully in the next day or so, the individual sessions, a little easier to digest or whatever, will be able to be viewed. So, yeah. But past that, I also have just been working on projects. I had a couple of things that I finished up for our friend Frank. I did a video about some Macintosh portable stuff, and I've got something here that I'll save for later, doing a little gets section or whatever
Yep.
that I wanted to show off that our friend Frank sent me. But no, it's been a busy month of vintage computers and streaming events and travel for work, but I'm very pleased to be back now today.
Awesome. And yeah, I was interested. I've been kind of out of the loop the last couple of weeks, just with school finishing and just being busy. So I missed a lot of the stuff going on in our community. So
would you throw? Garth was kind enough to put a link for the Kansas Fest stuff. Would you throw that up just if anybody's interested?
Yeah, there you go.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, so I will have to go check this out because I actually haven't been following any of the Kansas Fest stuff. Like I said, I've been kind of out of commission the last couple of weeks. So at least
this year didn't get as much kind of advertising and stuff as previous years, and I think it really just kind of came down to that with all the controversy earlier this year, that it was just kind of thought to maybe have a slightly lower profile and just let people come and enjoy the event. People that love Kansas Fest could come and just watch sessions and not have to worry about a bunch of static or people that are wanting to cause trouble and things like that. So.
And the controversy seems to have worked out.
I think it's one of those things. I think people tire themselves out after a while and just realize that it's like, you know what, if you're going to drink poison and hope that somebody else dies, that doesn't actually work that way.
No,
so it's one of those things. You got a finite amount of time on this rock, probably invested in positivity and doing things that make your life better, improve your situation, not that I'm mad about this event that I've never attended in person.
Right.
I've only attended remotely. And so for those people, nothing changed, but still there were some people that had some very unkind things to say. And a few people that had legitimate concerns. I'm not going to discount people that had some concerns and stuff. And so, but those created some great conversations to have, where it was just kind of like, hey, like, I want to hear your point of view. Like, why do you feel this way? And then a lot of it it comes down to maybe not understanding the structure of things or whatever, or it's just one of those things like, your superpower is supposed to be communication, right?
Yeah.
So it's just keep talking. And there are some people that just kind of dipped out of the conversation for a while and missed things that had happened and came in later and were just like, wait a minute, all this stuff has changed. And it's like, right, but here, let me get you up to speed.
Here's the Coles notes.
Yeah, it's like trying to explain what's happened in Mary Worth.
Right.
To someone. It's like it's been in newspapers for 60 years. It's like, it's even though the answer is like, well, it's later that same day.
Right. Of course. You just reminded me. Apparently, there's a new Murder, She Wrote reboot happening.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I know there's a Matlock reboot.
There's already a Matlock reboot, isn't there? No, that's with Kathy Bates. Is that Matlock?
that's Matlock. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the Matlock. I guess it takes place in the same universe as the original Matlock. Yeah. I have not watched it. I've seen Fried Green Tomatoes like 400 million times. I feel like I've done my time with Kathy Bates.
I've watched Misery 3 times. I think I've earned my badge too. It's Jamie Lee Curtis is going to be playing Jessica Fletcher.
Really good for her. She's so good in
Halloween.
Lots of things. No, I was going to say actually, Knives Out.
Oh yes, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was. Apparently, the Matlock theme is now playing in Justin's head.
Yeah, that'll happen. I've seen every episode of Matlock. The old show.
Yeah. But yeah, just kind of going on that. There are some shows I think they can't reboot Would you agree? Would you agree there are shows that
There's
like
shows that don't need to be rebooted.
sure that don't need to be like I was thinking after seeing that there was a Murder She Wrote, I'm like, okay, I'll give it a little bit of grace because it's Jamie Lee Curtis. But I was saying, like, could you redo Quincy or could you redo Columbo?
Absolutely. Yeah,
Columbo.
absolutely. Yeah, you could absolutely have a Columbo-esque show. It'd be different.
Well,
Right.
Columbo-esque is okay, but
Yeah, but I mean, like actual
No,
Columbo.
you could just call it Columbo. You could just call it Columbo. It's
and
like,
have the same actor.
No,
He's
no,
still
you would-
alive.
it would be very tough.
He just
sir.
lies
It'd be
there.
really hard to have me on your show. No, it's you couldn't get Peter Falk for it for obvious reasons, but you could have a show that was like Columbo, and you could call it Columbo. I don't have to watch it.
So going on that notion, who would you think could play Columbo if you had to think of somebody off the top of your head?
Kate Mulgrew. Here's why. Because she's Mrs. Columbo.
I'm not going to. Yeah,
she's still there. She's still an actress.
Yeah,
Kate Mulgrew.
Yeah,
you just call it Mrs. Columbo. There you go,
Mrs. Columbo. Now, would she the wife that he always talks about, but we never see?
Yeah. It didn't make a lot of sense back in the day.
Yeah,
but it was because you would think that because I mean I think Kate Mulgrew was like 25 years his junior.
Yeah.
When the Mrs. Columbo.
Did we talk about this before? Wasn't there an episode of Columbo where he like tried to hook up with someone and we're like, isn't he married?
I'm sure people forget. Screenwriters forget. It's like you got to go to the Columbo Bible for that series, and I'm sure people just thought that that he was married to like a green Ford Pinto or whatever, because you only saw her car.
Yeah.
That was the thing. And then when they did this series, then they were just like, this is a young lady.
Yeah.
I mean, good get.
Yeah.
But yeah.
All right, going on that topic then, like
I used to be a T-ball coach a couple years ago.
When I was a lad, this was all forest.
Right, yeah. It's
the
nothing but pine trees. But I think there's some shows you just can't reboot, or maybe it's like,
or
depending on what they were.
Like I don't think you could redo MASH. I don't think.
I'm sick of hearing of the Korean War, but they've
right.
I don't know if that's a controversial thing to say, but I think
Gunsmoke lasted longer than any of the history around it.
Right.
Well, I mean, it's I want Ron as Columbo. He's got the voice. But MASH went on for like 3 years longer than the actual Korean War.
Yeah.
5 years.
But I mean, those things.
Police action, Ron. Not
it wasn't a war.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Well, I mean, but I still look at the monuments and it says.
Do you think
let's say the Korean conflict?
Is that what they also call
Vietnam conflict?
Sting having sex?
Yes.
It's a police action.
It's a police action.
Okay, just so we're on the same.
I wonder if when Steve climaxes, if he goes Roxanne. It's okay, Gordy. Calm down.
Are you okay, Ron? That sounded like it hurt.
No,
you sound like you pulled something.
It's awful dark in here. Can you put on that red light? Thank you. But no, I think about like maybe a show that should not have been rebooted just because of how the show kind of was when it went away. Like you could reboot Barney Miller.
Right.
Absolutely. Just bring Barney Miller back tomorrow. I think there's enough time has passed. I think you could make a fun show. I would love to watch an updated Barney Miller.
I would love to see a new Benny Hill. I mean, he's probably tired from running.
Yeah, I would say so.
Right at this point.
That might be tough. I'm just thinking, because again, and that's maybe a good example, because what I was about to say is by the same people, Night Court. I don't understand, because if you remember Night Court, like there's a point, like the first 3 seasons or so, it's a different show than the it's like there was just something that happened where they were like, Blair Cat, you're so funny. We're just gonna make you this lecherous, racist, homophobic shitbag, and then, but don't worry, you'll learn your lesson by the end of every episode, but we're also going to hit reset at the end of every episode. So
you never truly learn.
So you never really learn anything, but they brought it back, and then they had him on the show, and it's like, but everybody else has passed on. It's like, it's, I mean, maybe I think Marshall Warfield is still with us, and I think Martin Mull is still, or not
Yeah.
Martin Mull, Richard Mull,
Yeah.
is still with us, but everybody else is gone.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, and the show was like, it was just like, it's very racy and like sexist, and I mean, it's poking fun at those things,
Right.
but I don't know how you make those same jokes now.
Today,
So
Murphy Brown.
you could do a Murphy Brown. They were talking
Yeah.
about rebooting Murphy Brown.
Oh
Did they
no,
not
I'm saying
do
that's one that
did
could
they not
be
do
done.
like a mini series reboot like maybe 10 years ago?
Murphy Brown.
Murphy Brown, like a couple of episodes. I feel like I remember.
They had most of the people. They didn't have the Fontana guy, because I think, or no, maybe they had him, but they didn't have the newscaster guy.
Yeah.
From
Well,
the old
it's
school.
about to be rebooted. That was just announced, and they just got this. They just announced the cast is Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Oh, really?
So it's not a reboot. Apparently, it's a continuation of the story, and Sarah Michelle Gellar is in it, and a bunch of Allison Hendricken.
Mhm.
What about what's her name? Felicia Day.
What about her?
She was in it.
Yeah.
She's in everything.
I know.
I
I have
still-
fond
she's-
memories of watching The Guild with my daughter. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, yeah, I just there's some shows that I think are just too sacred to reboot, and then there are others that are kind of like they reboot them and they're okay, and then there's some they reboot that are just terrible. But then on top of that, then you have are there any TV shows that you remember watching that have really good premises but failed, but probably could do well today?
Space
Same goal for
1999.
Right.
Now it's a historical piece. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
That'd be tough.
Well, you know, I'm a historical piece, but Space 1999 could be
Okay.
redone.
I think Firefly would be really good to bring back in for today.
Special
now,
effects.
Yeah.
right? I think it's always been a bit of a, it was always some social commentary happening in Firefly, and I think that could continue to help mold geeks for many years.
I know this is a historical reference again, but what about All in the Family? Or is that too tied?
They already
Carol
brought that
O'Connor?
back. They already brought it back once.
Well, I know, but is it too tied to Carol O'Connor to really?
No, because they brought it back and they did like 2 seasons, and then
it
they
was
were
just
like,
it was Meatball, right? He was the Archie Bunker character.
Really? It didn't do very well. I don't even recall.
No, they did.
No,
because it was a family. It was a black family had moved into the house.
That's
there.
what it was, right? Yes.
Yeah. The whatever. I can't remember their last name, but it was moved into their house, and it was just sort of kind of the same thing.
Really?
Yeah.
And there are shows of like Archie Bunker. I think it's probably one of those shows of its time. And again, I don't think you get away with and I think by changing it to be something it's not the same show. So you don't really, there's no point in calling it.
Yeah. And there are shows that took place in a particular time period or something where there's no real advantage to redoing it with today's technology necessarily.
Right. What was the puppet one? Farscape was a great show. I don't know if you remember Farscape.
Not everybody was a puppet.
99.
No, I agree. That's a weird Australian show.
Yeah, it got a lot of airtime in Canada, I guess, through Canada-Australia relationship. It got a lot of airtime here, and I remember it being on a lot of late night science fiction on our version of the Sci-Fi Channel called Space.
Yeah. I might be wrong about the All in the Family reboot thing, because I was just looking, and I guess that it's another series that it just takes place in that universe. It's sort of like how you have All in the Family, and then you have like the Jeffersons, and then you have, to a lesser extent, Lionel, and an even lesser extent, Gloria, and all Archie Bunker's Place. You got all these shows, but something that was cool, live in front of a studio audience, was like a short-lived thing right before the pandemic, where they basically just they did like an episode of whatever that thing would be, because I think they had like Woody Harrelson or somebody was Archie Bunker,
Okay.
and yeah.
Oh, okay.
So that was neat. I like those ideas because they did a one-off thing of Are You Being Served?
Oh, cool.
Right.
So they just had a
right.
bunch of, they just did the first episode of Are You Being Served, but they just had a bunch of modern people just doing kind of their best impression of those other folks. And
Yeah.
so,
That's interesting. Yeah.
yeah.
I liked Are You Being Served? That was a good show.
I don't care for Grace and Favor. That's the sequel series.
Okay.
Not
I don't think I've
very
ever
good.
seen that.
Oh no, it's because the whole thing is with Grace Brothers. Like they squandered all the retirement for the people.
Oh, okay.
So all that was left was basically just the assets of the company when the store closed.
Right.
And so one of the things that was owned was this like kind of an older like hotel / like resort thing out in the country.
Okay.
And so it was like, it was just supposed to be sort of like an old style vacation where it's like I just went somewhere to read in the sun and
Faulty Towers.
relax. Yeah, it was sort of that same thing. Which
speaking of Faulty Towers, it is being there's a new season coming.
Are they really?
Oh yeah. God, I'm not sure why. That there's an American Faulty Towers that stars B. Arthur.
I'm sorry, but American reproductions of British stuff tend to fall flat for me.
Except for The Office.
Except for The Office.
I didn't even like
just kept going for some reason.
So.
Yeah. I'm gonna have a hot take here. I like American Office more than I like the British Office.
Really?
There is one show.
I'm sorry.
My wife watches it. It's the Ghosts one where they all occupy the house.
Yeah.
The British one is terrible compared to the American one.
Oh, really?
I've
noticed that they even had to go as far because the show is just called Ghosts or something like that. Yeah. But so now they're like Ghosts British. Like the original series had to change the name for international broadcast so that people wouldn't be like, all right,
not the American show.
I found me a VHS tape of He-Man, and you put it in, and it's like somebody reading a book. I just like that used to be like a thing in the VHS revolution where it was like somebody got the license to do a He-Man thing, but it'd be like a book on tape kind of thing, and it would not like an animated episode of the show.
Yeah, I love it.
That's awesome.
Like,
yes, 386. Apparently, they are redoing Faulty Towers, allegedly.
Yeah.
There are some shows I really need to rewatch. That's the great thing about getting older. Mm-hmm. You wait a decade, you forget everything. It's new again. So you can watch these. It's like the same thing with the science fiction I read.
Right. Yeah. And is there any science fiction? I we've kind of touched a little bit like, if you had to redo a Star Trek, if they wanted to redo Star Trek, the first original series again.
They've tried several times.
Yeah. In the movies they have for sure. But I mean, in a television show.
Maybe. Closest thing that comes to it is
The Orville?
Strange New Worlds.
Oh yeah, Strange New Worlds,
yeah. Remember, we had the Orville before we had all this new Star Trek.
Right.
That is true.
Yeah. It was kind of keeping the flame.
Is going. The love language of Star Trek.
So. Yeah. Well,
I mean, love that.
If you look at Seth MacFarlane, like he's on a couple episodes of Enterprise, just as Ensign Ricky.
Did you know that Seth MacFarlane purchased the rights to some of Frank Sinatra's back catalog?
Yeah, it's probably better because anytime he does a concert, he sings that stuff. It's probably cheaper to just own it than keep paying royalties.
And there was stuff that he found that he bought because it was his daughter, and him worked together to try to get some of the stuff that was penned but was never actually performed.
Yeah.
So and he has an album apparently of him performing some never performed Sinatra songs.
Yeah. Really?
Apparently, it's quite good.
Yeah, it's good for him. Yeah. But no, in Seth MacFarlane, there's a comedy twist on it, so it's probably called Old Pooh Eyes or something like that.
Old Krogers instead of Old Kroners.
Maybe
it takes place in an old
Groners.
Yeah. Old Groners. When I was a youngster, this was all pine trees.
Yeah, I think I like how old Seth MacFarlane is. It's just like I'm not a big fan of a lot of the stuff he's done, but I will say the first couple seasons of Family Guy pretty good. I would say that the the Orville is pretty good too.
Yeah. I think he's pretty. I like most things that he's done. There's a couple of questionable things that I'm like, this is all right, but
yeah, I like the concert stuff that he does too. Like YouTube is a wash of videos of him singing like Torchlight songs and stuff.
Yeah.
So.
I'll tell you one show that should get an attempt at or a movie that should be redone, or at least a sequel or something. Oh God, Alan Rickman's in it. Space Quest. That's it.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
I love that movie. It's a great movie.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like Alan Rickman.
Mm-hmm.
Sad he's gone.
Everybody that's in that's pretty good. Even Justin Long
and Tim Allen for all of his
right.
issues.
Yeah.
Well, he was playing
down here
himself,
saying that like
you
can't keep pushing the engines like this, or they're gonna just like explode. It's like, what a choice for Tony Shalhoub to just play the character like he's high all the time.
For a second there, I thought you were Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah, no, it's
talking about the engines.
Yeah, I think that's a really great movie. I didn't see that in theaters. I saw it many, many years later on home video, and I was like, wow, this is really great. Like, this should have done a lot better than it did.
I feel like if memory serves correctly, and I could be wrong, I feel like it came out around the same time that the reissues of Star Wars came out, and it came out around the same time, I believe, Space Troop, what is it, Starship Troopers?
Starship Troopers.
Yeah, and I feel like it kind of just got lost in that,
right?
And then like the new Lost in Space came out around the same time too. Like it was just a lot of space happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, at least they didn't have their movie come out, their movie about volcanoes. And then, like the next week, like Dante's Peak comes out.
So I have a theory that there was a mole in the writers area of both, because they had Deep Impact, and then you had Armageddon. You had Dante's Peak and Volcano. You had Twister and
Sharknado.
Sharknado.
I think that it's one of those things, because people, they write a script. And it's like, I've put so much trouble into this, I'm going to shop it around.
Right.
And so what happens is you show it to enough people, and eventually two people have the same idea, and they get the second guy comes in and says, hey, I got the same general idea. We're going to make a movie about dinosaurs.
Yeah.
And they'll be like, call so-and-so that was here 6 months ago, because we can be like, we might want to option it, but we're not going to pay you as much. We're not really sure about this idea that you've got, and get them under contract. And then we're going to start if nothing else, we're going to lock down the rights on this, and then we'll see what happens with this other thing. And so it'll sit in development hell for a year or two. Somebody else buys the other script. People talk, and they're like, we got that optioned. We need to get this out the door. We can't keep setting on it. It's very much like Return to Oz. As much as I love that movie, that is probably one of my favorite movies, especially like from being like a scary kids movie. Love that movie. The only reason it got made is because Disney dumped a ton of cash to buy the book rights from the Balm estate, and it was getting ready to lapse. So they were like, gotta make something. And so they were like, it's a combination of a bunch of different stories that they had the rights to, so they could make a little bit of money before it all slipped into the public domain, or the rights reverted back to the family.
Right.
And a lot of that stuff happens, because if you look at like another thing like Fantastic Four, which just came out. Speaking of a movie that's been remade, or a property that's been remade more than any other superhero thing that I can think of, maybe other than Spider-Man.
Honestly, I think it's actually more now than Spider-Man.
Well, there's four. There's
four theatrical and there's two TV shows.
Well, there is, and then there's the Roger Corman movie. But that was the thing I was going to bring up. The only reason that original Fantastic Four movie that was never released in theaters got made is basically to just hold on to the rights until they wanted to either option it to somebody else for money or.
How does it work? If they make a movie of it, they get to keep the rights then for another 25 years?
It just depends on what the contract says.
Okay.
Where it's like you have to give them time because, again, especially in the old days, the turnaround on a film was like 5 years.
Right.
So it wasn't you couldn't make a Spider-Man and then a Spider-Man 2 unless you filmed them back to back. But that was part of the reason why the Sulkines did. They just filmed Superman 1 and Superman 2 at the exact same time.
Right.
And then fired Richard Donner and had to bring in the other guy, Milikis or whatever his name was, to kind of like piece it together. But then there's a ton of like Donner stuff in it, and that's why you got a Donner cut of all that. But that's the whole thing. It's like you got to hang on to the rights and see how long that lasts. Super cool story in petty Hollywood nonsense about those type of things is Warren Beatty and the Dick Tracy property.
Yes, that's what I was going to ask you. You told me a story once about something, and I was trying to remember what the property was. It was Dick Tracy, yeah.
Yeah, because Disney and Disney and Warren Beatty went together. They made that Dick Tracy movie. Did really, really well, but I guess not Disney money, maybe, perhaps.
Yeah.
And so they wanted to get rid of it, but to Warren Beatty's credit, he loved the Dick Tracy property so much that he's the one that secured the rights to make the movie. So now you got Disney and Warren Beatty having to split proceeds and things like that on the box office of the movie. And Disney's like, well, we want all the bank. We'll make another one, but it's got to be that, you're just a consultant or you're just paid as an actor or whatever, or a producer rather, like you would be on the first film. But he was like, no, piss on that. So what he did instead is he spent the next 30 years, and he's still doing it because you got to make something every so often using the property to retain the rights. So I think that movie came out like in 1996 or 1995, something like that. He has held on.
Dick Tracy, 1990.
1990? Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Quite a long time ago then. But in any case, he's made like a made for TV special, or he's made like some direct-to-video thing or whatever, and it has to have a theatrical release. So basically he just rents like a theater in LA and shows it 2 or 3 days, and then that's it. So it technically had a theatrical release. But you can hold on to the rights, but it's just stopping Disney from getting it back and being able to do something else with it. And I think Dick Tracy comes up like next year or the year after, basically enters the public domain, and then Disney will be able to do anything that they want to do with it. But just imagine that level. I mean, hats off Warren Beatty for protecting the Dick Tracy property from someone.
I believe we talked about this in the pre-show about the idea of FU money.
Mm-hmm.
That is an example of somebody who's using their money to.
He's got Bonnie and Clyde money.
He's got Bonnie and Clyde money.
Yeah, he's got Bullworth money. Come on,
right.
I'd like some of that FU money. How do I get that FU money?
You got to make Bugsy and Heaven Can Wait and the Reds, and then you're allowed to have that kind of money.
Yeah.
But anyway, we've kind of diverted a little bit, but I thought it was an interesting topic.
I haven't seen you guys in forever. I just talk about whatever. So we got 20 minutes left. You want to talk about cool things you've gotten recently? You want to talk about cool things you're looking forward to before the next time we meet? What do you got?
Sure.
Why don't you go ahead, Brian?
Okay. Well, I got a box. I haven't opened it yet. It actually came from Frank.
Oh, yeah. I have a box from Frank, too, but I opened mine.
Oh, did you?
Well, it kept mewing.
Well, this one, it's got some weird cinematic writing on it. It's something about it being from a movie about numbers.
Mm-hmm.
It's a counting movie.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
7?
Yes.
I don't know what's in the box.
Yeah, that's fine. It's probably the head of that lady from Sliding Doors.
It's a horse.
Yeah, maybe.
Horse's head.
Richard Tech Chris says, I got a box from Frank today, too. Wow.
I want to vent a little bit. So Frank ships by UPS. He marks it as a gift every time. I still get charged tariff, or not tariffs, duty.
Custom. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that'd be Canada, doesn't it?
It's definitely Canada. It's a pain in the butt.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Ryan, throw Francois' message up on the screen real fast, because this is an important thing, and this is good technology stuff.
There we go.
Francois says, anybody with a message pad like a 2100 or a 2000 with a broken touchscreen ribbon, he needs beta testers.
Okay.
Francois has put a bunch of time and effort recently into making a modern reproduction of that. So if you have if you're like somebody that took theirs apart to do a recap or something and accidentally damaged your device, Francois, I really need you to post on Blue Sky or Mastodon about that.
Yeah, so we can share it.
So that we can share this. And even if you wanted to do a short or something, like do like something that would be an easy way to promote that. Yeah, let's get the word out because we need more Newton stuff in the hobby.
Cool, that's exciting.
Yeah,
I've always wanted a Newton. Someday I shall own one.
Oh, all right.
So I have a box here that says for Michael, so I'm assuming that's for our good friend One Bit Fever Dream.
Yeah.
So I will send that on to him.
Nice.
Which means that this one that says for Ryan is probably for me because I don't know anybody else named Ryan in our community. So let's see what Frank sent me. What's in the box, Frank? What's in the box?
Justin asks, isn't the de minimis into Canada something like $20?
I think it's because, and this is where, so Frank uses Pirate Ship or one of those, aggregate finding cheapest shipping option things. Mm-hmm. And because he runs it through his business, mm-hmm. it considers it a commercial.
Oh.
And I think that's why, because even when he says it's a gift, I still get charged customs because the Canadian border is looking at it and going, well, it's from a business, so that can't be a gift.
Yeah, I know. That's why you put the address of the local police department on there.
Or it is a gift, but because it's from a business, they don't care.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
I mean,
but listen, Justin, you're right. The de minimis into Canada is something like $20 US, but with the exchange rate, it's $27.39.
More boxes. Oh, we got a letter.
Dear Marty, the lightning strike that struck the DeLorean.
This is actually a gift from Dave.
Oh, that's nice.
Dave, there's a smaller box inside my...
This box is all the way down.
I wanted to make an exchange rate joke. Sorry.
What's in the box? Oh, I know what this is.
An ice cream sundae.
Origami. Cardboard origami.
Well, I'm glad it's happening off camera. Otherwise, I would just be like, I wouldn't know.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's one of those Dave mugs.
Yeah.
For the video.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Thanks, Dave.
Neat.
It's the correct size too. It's not one of those miniature mugs.
It's a good coffee mug. Like if I'm not getting at least 7 million, I don't know, whatever system you use for measuring caffeine.
Microjoules.
Sure, of caffeine. I'm getting upset.
Pico beans.
Oh, I also got I think these are actually for, no, these are for me, I believe. Some,
oh yeah, nice.
Fallout stickers.
Half-Life. Or, yeah, Fallout.
Yep. Close enough.
Sorry.
Ooh.
I want one of those Dave mugs, but I want it like to be like one of those little tiny mugs, like a mafioso, like just milk and drinking
a bit of espresso.
Yeah.
It's like what brings you here on the day of my daughter's wedding?
Yeah. Nice.
That's actually for a guy in our group, Mark.
Is it just a regular one, or is it like the?
It's for his power book.
Yeah, but show the end of it.
Oh, it's
just show the end of it. Just show the end of it.
I'm trying to. I'm unwrapping it. Hold on.
Show the end. All you got to do is hold it up on camera, and I can tell you in 2 seconds.
There it is. It's in plastic.
There you go. It's the one for the color.
Yeah. And is there anything else in the box? Oh, there is.
Yeah, work on that, Dave. Because I mean, I want to have strong opinions about the VIG over at the racetrack.
No, it's a rectangle.
Good old UPS beat the living snot out of it.
Yeah.
That's okay though. These are great little machines. They work good for different things.
Yeah, that's what I'm running all my Global Talk stuff on.
Yeah.
One of those.
One of these.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, we talked about this before. Not to jump topic here though. Did you ever figure out a VPN to your house?
No, I need to do. You know what? I actually
We should have a conversation.
change. Yeah, I'm sure. Just what I'm thinking, what the solution would be to just run like some kind of open VPN client, like on the machine that I need to attach to, rather than
you could do that,
entire
or just
infrastructure to do
run
one
Open
thing.
VPN on the actual router in your house.
I don't know. The router is well. The thing is the router is old,
Right.
and I think I've tried to do that, and it just like I put the tomato firmware on there so that way that it would get it to the point to be able to do that, but then it wigs out and just can't do it. So yeah,
we'll have this discussion.
I'll
send you some things.
Okay, we will discuss it. Thank you, Steve.
I'm decommissioning a bunch of stuff for different clients.
Oh, nice.
So
yeah,
there are things floating around, things and junk.
Cool.
Yeah. Now that we have 3 gigabit internet here in Canada for business,
Right.
a lot of 1 gigabit routers are completely useless.
Sure.
Because internet.
It must be nice to live in the future.
Mm-hmm.
The future is lovely. I'm exactly 1/2 hour ahead of everybody else.
Mm-hmm. I made a lot of jokes about that for the K-Fest stuff. It's like we really got to think about people living like 30 minutes ahead of everybody else. Those newfies, they get a little excited if you don't start exactly on time.
Yeah, like, and what's this starting? Half hour time. Like, well, why are we starting something at 9:30?
Yeah,
what's that about?
They're just being accommodating.
Fun.
Can I show the cool thing that Frank sent me? Or unless Eric has a box of stuff.
Go ahead, Ron.
Sent him. Okay. All right, let me show you this. This is really great. This is another one of those things that I bought 4 million of, trying to get one working one. And actually,
wait. Sorry, Ron has a power book.
Imagine.
Ain't me shocked.
Yeah, this is actually look at that microscopic screen. This is a PowerBook 180C.
Okay.
That has had the Tech Night service
done. Oh,
nice screen.
So it's in good shape. But my problem is this: I got one a very long time ago, and I didn't really think about it, but I set it up and I was installing an OS and stuff, and I went to eat dinner, and by the time I came back, the screen was completely black, and it's because that it had excited all of the capacitors in the display, and then had kind of leaked everything, and then that's not as big of a deal, but there are a couple of components nearby that they just love to short out, and so it had shorted out like a transistor and some other stuff. Anyway, I sent it to Steve, and I said, Steve, can you please go ahead and recap this display, figure out what this component is, which is now burned to a crisp. I was like, we found a picture, we knew the component, swapped the component, and then he hooked it up in his, and he was like, it works, but it's maybe only 75% brightness at the max. And I was like, you know what? It's okay. This is just for fun. It's fine. Right. And then he sent it UPS ground or USPS ground.
Wait, the ground advantage?
Ground advantage.
Yes, I remember this.
I sent it ground advantage. That's probably the clearest way to say it. And it never arrived. So,
but you have a little bit of I guess, warmth in your heart to think there's somebody going through the dead letter office at some point. It's going to open up a package and be like, look at this thing. Wow.
Yeah. But that does expose something very important, which is if you're going to mail anything that you want to make sure that it arrives, pay the extra money and send it priority, and then also make sure that you put inside your box a return address label. It could just be the person that sent it or the person that's the destination. If you put to and from on there, also put a phone number. Mm-hmm. So that way that if it does end up in a dead letter office somewhere, that they can, because they open all the boxes to see what's going on, especially if it's got if the box is damaged or the shipping information is now illegible. They open it up, they look inside, and they'll be like, hey, there you go. But just don't ship anything ground advantage. That would be probably the smart thing. My most recent exciting example of a ground advantage disaster was I sent Trina some parts for her PowerBook. And actually a couple. I've had a couple. I actually went to the post office, did not use an intermediary or anything like that. Went to the post office, dropped off a bunch of envelopes that were supposed to go out to people. It literally took a month and a half for those envelopes to make it from my town to 6 hours away. took an hour and a half. One of the people I mailed to 6.5 hours away, something like that. It took weeks to get there. So, and then also I sent something to Trina in Canada. The shipping, like the tracking on it, never worked the entire time. So it was like Trina's like, hey, you better call the post office, find out. And I said, Trina, ain't nobody to call. You'll either get it or you won't.
Yeah.
So I'm not.
It's the Russian roulette of shipping.
Yes. It is. You just kind of hope for the best.
Except all the barrels or all the revolver is full, except for one that isn't, as opposed to only being one bullet.
Yeah.
There's 5 bullets with only one blank.
It's one of those things where it's like there's a round in every chamber, but it's a Russian-made firearm.
Right, so it may or may not fire.
Right, so we may have remembered or not remembered to put the firing pin in.
It is best.
Yeah, and Dave's one of the people that never got an envelope. I sent one to Justin. I sent one to Chris. I
believe, if I'm not mistaken, Frank ordered. I feel like it was an entire shipping container of stuff from somebody, and they sent it Ground Advantage. Never showed up first or last.
Yeah, I think that they used a private shipper.
Right.
Yeah, I never thought about adding the phone number.
That's a good tip.
So that's a good one.
Ron, did you have anything else you wanted to show? I felt like you said you had something that you worked on that you wanted to show off.
Oh, you know what? It's not right here nearby. So hold on one second. Actually, I'll show something that I did.
Okay.
I actually retrobrited a. This is a Platinum Plus.
Nice
keyboard enclosure.
Very clean.
And it's never looked this good.
Didn't come from the factory that clean.
No, it didn't. So I've just been working. I've been trying to. I've got a. I went on a little bit of a thing, and I bought a bunch of pluses. I bought a bunch of 512s and 128s and stuff, just to kind of put together like a couple of really nice examples. And then I've been slowly kind of shuffling parts out into the world after that. Cool. So
nice.
Go get your thing.
That was it.
Oh, okay.
You said it wasn't near you.
Oh, well, it's way back there. I had to turn around.
Well, I tell you what, Ron, you go dig it up. I'll show off my stuff.
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right, there you go.
All right, give me a minute.
So I got a couple of projects I'm working on.
All right, let's see.
So I finally did a DigiKey order that was worth the shipping price.
Oh, so you actually got the free shipping. Wow.
Well, no, not that much. Just enough where I was like, ooh, the shipping hurts, but not so much because I spent
Isn't more. That only like $7? What? That doesn't hurt.
It's $7. Yeah, they do have Ground Advantage available. I did not use it.
We air it here. It's $10 Canadian, and you don't get to choose what kind of shipping you get. It's just that it is what it is.
So this is a power supply to my Toshiba laptop, and I actually was able to tear this thing apart without destroying it. So it's going to look nice when it goes back together. Nice. So that's one thing I'm going to recap.
Ian is telling me that DigiKey doesn't have free shipping in the U.S. Really? That's Canada only?
Yeah, they don't. Well, no, I think if you pay enough,
if I spend $100 Canadian, I get free shipping.
Something like that. Yeah, there is. At least there was last time I was there. It could be a promotional thing. Who knows? But and then I disassembled this mouse that. Whoops! Oh, there goes the trackball mouse thing for my PS2.
Yep.
Because it's got a couple of caps in it, and
there you go.
So we'll do those, and then there's the.
Was that the one? Did you have to clean that? Was that one that was really skunky?
No, this one was actually in pretty good shape.
Okay.
And then there's the numeric keypad that goes with the laptop, and that's got 2 caps in it.
Of course.
So I bought kit for that, and then I'm not going to dig the laptop out because I'll bring the keyboard over. How about that?
Everybody's reporting in the comments that there is no free shipping in the U.S. DigiKey. Well,
okay, whatever.
Sorry,
maybe I was
friends,
looking at Mauser or something like that.
Spend more than $99 Canadian, you get free shipping. So.
I might have been looking at Mauser or something.
Cool.
Anyway,
it's clean. Did you clean it?
This is the keyboard to that PS2 laptop. It's very clean. It sat in somebody's case in a closet for a long time.
Gotcha.
So it didn't need retrobriting. So that logic board, which is all through caps,
Right.
and
Wow.
from what I understand, it's got a really heavy ground plane, so it's going to take
It'll be
some
fun to get your
effort.
solder flowing.
Yeah. And then
You'll have to pre-solder everything to unsolder it.
oh, I picked up this from my local university surplus store,
Nice.
and it had a network card in it.
Deadly. Not only did it have a NIC, it has the 3 possible connectors.
Yes.
CAN base T, AUI, and token, or not token, BNC.
Yep. And there's a switch on it labeled thin.
Cool.
So you can switch between them. And at first I thought it was a dud until I realized it was switched to the wrong thing. So
nice.
So I got it working. And then of course I did a blue SCSI front mount for the SD card.
So I sent my SE30 board to Rudy.
Yeah.
So now I got to find an SE30 board again.
But that one worked.
Did
I
you
didn't
recap
have to
it?
fix any traces. All I did was recap it.
Cool.
So that was good. Yeah. So I've got a few little to keep Trina happy. I've got a couple of hardware live streams that I'm going to be doing.
Nice, nice.
More
important question though, that it's on everybody's mouth because I haven't talked to you in almost a month.
Yeah.
How's the game coming along?
It's coming along. I've squashed all of the obvious bugs.
Okay, perfect.
There are a couple of recommendations that were made by people that I had a few people that were testing that made some recommendations, so I've done those.
Perfect.
Right now, I'm just going through and play testing myself to make sure things work properly.
Cool.
And then I've set a date. I think it was the 19th of August. It's the middle of August, anyway. For the 15th. So the middle of August. No, that's July. Sorry.
Is that the cutoff then for
use
production?
the calendar the right way. Maybe the 13th. Okay, the 13th of August is when I would like to get all of the our Macintosh friends are all doing voiceovers for things in the game. So that's when I would like to get all that together so I can do all the editing and assemble it. And Ron is going to help me out with some of it, and that'll give us time to put it together so I can get it boxed up and ready for VCF Midwest.
Nice.
So
awesome.
Yeah.
I am still so very sad that I will be missing VCF this year.
I am too, because I had things I could bring you. So now I've got to hold on to them for a whole other damn year for you to get up there.
Hopefully. Or you guys could always come to VCF Montreal.
That's true. I'm looking forward to that in January.
In January, yeah. Nothing quite says good times in Canada like flying in January.
Yeah.
Is my flight going to get in?
Well, no. If Smart Money is on flying to the nearest airport in New York State, and then driving across the border. Doing that also avoids some other entanglements for things like, having to have passports and things like that. You can basically come across with your driver's license and all that. So
we don't take that anymore.
You don't?
I have
That's Newfoundland. What about Canada?
Oh, Canada, you need a passport to come across our border, as far as I'm aware.
You can use an enhanced driver's license ID that has the star on it.
Yeah,
you can't fly with that.
Real ID.
Real ID.
Yeah, real ID. That's it.
Yeah, if you have a real ID, you can go across.
I think it was Alec was it Technology Connection, Alec? I can't remember. Somebody did like a history of real ID. People are freaking out about how it's like, oh my God, I got to go get this thing. And it's like, you've had 18 years.
Yeah, it's been forever. Well, like the state I live in, they've literally extended the deadline, or TSA and stuff.
Yeah.
It was easily 10 years ago that they were like, starting on such and such a day, we're gonna require real ID to fly and things like that. And actually, there was one time that, because I went through and got a passport, and I think the first thing I did, I went and got a passport card, and then I went and got a passport proper, and then I went and got the TSA pre-check, and then I went and did global entry, which is basically the highest thing that you can do as a Is it?
We call it Nexus here, but yeah.
Yeah, that's like the highest thing you can do. Like you have to go and sit for sometimes 2 interviews with the Department of Homeland Security.
Here you have to fly because there's no office here in Newfoundland. You actually have to fly to Nova Scotia and do your interviews. It's very inconvenient.
Yeah, I would say so.
Wow.
But I did all those things. So I have like 3. It's so funny. I have like 3 known traveler numbers.
Nice.
Because of the way that I did it all.
Now, were you smart? Did you get each one slightly different middle name?
Right.
No, you're looking for Ron, Steven. No. I'm Ron.
You just got to pronounce. You put different emphasis.
Yeah, on the wrong syllable.
Yeah. It's no. I'm Ron. You're looking for Ron.
Yeah. Ron. You're looking
Ron
for
with an umlaut.
Yes. Oh, that's Roan. What are you talking about? Yeah. But no, I also had like Justin saying here. I also had a real ID for years, like longer than you had to.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah.
But I remember there was someone who said that people were freaking out. I guess the deadline for them was recent, like it was.
Yeah.
A month, like 6 months ago, maybe, or a couple of sometime last
year.
I
think they like the TSA finally pulled the trigger on that, but then certain people in charge of certain governmental things, I think, even said that they were gonna like dial back on that requirement. It was just one of those things where it's like it was like a Friday at 4 p.m. and they needed a press release. We might be dialing back on the real ID requirement, and then you never heard anything else about it.
Right.
It occupied the news cycle for 5 minutes, and then that was it. So
yeah.
Do you want to see the thing that I've been working on? It may not be the thing that you're thinking, but you didn't give me any hints, so I'm just kind of one of the many things that I'm working on.
I'm actually guessing.
Just recently, I actually went out, and this is unrelated to that, but I did go out recently to visit. There are some people that are involved in the vintage computing hobby that have a museum effort that they're trying to get started. And they have a lot of donations and stuff, but then they also have a lot of raw paperwork and undocumented manuals and things like that. So I actually, like, not last weekend, but the weekend before, I traveled to their storage facility, and we went through probably, I don't know, the gigantic, like you got to hold your arms like this storage tubs.
Yep.
Probably went through 60 of those, looking at different bits of documentation, and I pulled quite a bit out and then organized the rest where there could be a second trip sometime in the future. But I'm now assisting this organization with trying to document and scan all of their stuff. I'm probably at some point, our good friend Steve Mac84 will be in the loop on this, but in the interest of the preservation of this hobby, there is some neat stuff that I actually purchased from Japan that I had never seen before, but now I am addicted, and as budget allows, I'll probably be collecting more of these things.
Ron's getting into Henta.
No.
Oh.
These are really cool one-sheet advertisements for various Macintosh clones.
Cool.
Like this one right here is for the Super Mac. It's the J700. It's the desktop machine. And on the back, they have Japanese language sort of spec sheets and things like that for those machines. I've also got another one here for the C500. This is the one that I actually own. This one was available in the US. More wonderful specs there on the back. These are really neat. I've not really seen these before. And
are they digitized yet? Have you digitized them?
No. I'm going to, though.
Okay.
So that is the plan.
Cool.
I also have another one that I was able to find. That this one is for StarMax. This is the Motorola branded clone machines. Again, just a spec sheet. These were probably on the table at a trade show or something like this at some point. And then there's a really cool magazine that was exclusive to Japan. But it is something that would have been really, really popular here in the US if it weren't for differences in just kind of laws surrounding repair rights and things like that. So Ron, wait. So Ron really was in Wisconsin. Yes, I really was in Wisconsin. But these books, they're called MacFan. And this is something that was published for quite a long time in Japan. You can see kind of get an idea of the age on this one because there's a blue and white G3 on there. But what's really cool about these these magazines is basically they are how-tos for repair and
cool.
upgrade.
They give you tools.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's like tool recommendations, and then depending on whatever it is you want to do, like on this sheet right here, they're kind of just showing you like the different models of like this sawtooth or whatever.
Yep.
And then there's like options like, oh, here's a bunch of CPU fans. Oh, here are coolers, slot coolers. If you want to replace if you're going to do overclocking and you want to replace the default CPU fan, here's some CPU fans. Here's a recommendation for thermal compound that you can glob on like you're icing a cupcake. But the book is super duper neat. Again, there's a whole series of these. Like this one right here covers like the polycarbonate iBook. And these things go back as far, like these books go back as far as like the black and white era of Macs.
Wow.
The problem is some of the older ones are $30-$40 a piece US. These newer ones that kind of cover like the PowerPC era, especially when you get into like the John Ive era of things. These are $8 to $12, so that's a little.
And I imagine the newer ones, like if it came out today, if they still come out today, it's just you open the book and it says Apple says no.
Yeah, pretty much. It's funny though, because the book, to save costs on printing, a lot of the guides and stuff, especially if it has something to do with like a step by step to do something, those are absolutely all printed in color. But when you start getting into things like mainboard, like installing RAM and stuff, I guess they figured people have those concepts under control.
Sure.
All those pages are black and white, but you get back to the back again, start getting into like letters and the Q&A section and the little anime ladies and things like that.
And then is there like parts in the back? Is there like contact this company to get a cool, video card or?
Yeah, basically it's like, here's a bunch of upgrades. So it's like, here are things that you maybe hadn't considered, but you might want to put it in there. Like, for example,
is that a PCMCIA card?
Yeah, yes, it is. So that way that you could use the other options for wireless and things like that. But you even have like a little section down here that's basically on translation means. You might be tempted to put a sound blaster in your machine, but it's not going to work.
Right.
But all this stuff probably deserves to be remembered and to be not something that is strictly available to people that can afford.
Is it digitized anywhere?
Not that I'm aware. Not every episode. There are a few.
Okay.
But not enough. That's the thing. So, but I would say that Macintosh fandom that then crosses over the pond is a weird thing that doesn't appear to be super documented. At least a lot of these print publications. Yeah, we've got software disks. Yeah, we got a lot of stuff. But
I wonder too if it's Japanese law, because Japanese law has some really interesting things when it comes to like being able to archive stuff for historical purposes. Like you remember the guys that are backing up the video game, the Japanese computer video game archive. They're allowed to back that up, but they're not allowed to share it, or they're not allowed to show it to anybody.
Yeah,
so they're allowed to back it up for historical purposes, but they're not actually allowed to.
Yeah, they can't distribute it or anything.
Do anything with it.
But yeah, it's complicated, but you do what you can, and a lot of those laws seem to have little loopholes about how strict people watch things.
Right.
But like, for example, if you go out on Macari or you go out on any of the Japanese sales sites and things like that, something you'll definitely notice is that literally anything that's an electronic or something is sold specifically as like junk, or like they use the best translation would be junk. And it's because you can't make any claims about the functionality of used electronics,
right?
Or otherwise open yourself up to potential legal action. So now, granted, they're not thinking about people in the U.S. buying that, because guess what? If you got that machine and it arrived here in one piece, you're not going to pay to ship it back. But but somebody inside Japan, the primary audience for all of those sites, I guess you got to protect yourself. Or if something else, if you use an intermediary service that will pay for those things, there are certain items that absolutely aren't allowed to be exported once they're inside the country, depending on how the media is classified. So, for example, if you were to like want to buy a copy of Marathon, or a copy of Duke Nukem or something like that, some of those games, like you might not be able to buy Marathon, depending on how it was classified for, like, if it was, it's an adults. Like when I say adults, I mean like legal adult, not necessarily the content of that.
Right.
So,
18 plus violence.
Yeah, those type of things, yes, you can absolutely export that. But some other things you might not be able to export.
Yeah, and Japan has some really interesting export laws. And I know just from automobile stuff, like if it's of a certain age, you can't export it with brake pads or clutch because it may have asbestos, and they're not allowed to export anything with asbestos.
Right.
So you actually have to have the car taken apart, have the brakes taken off, and the clutch taken out, and then shipped that way.
Yeah, my eldest daughter travels to Japan once or twice a year, and she's promised me that if she has the opportunity, she'll go to one of the shops because she does gaming and gaming consoles and things like that. So, and I've got a very short list of small items I want her to find for me if she can, like a libretto.
Sure.
Things like that.
Yeah. I would say that those things exist, but they're probably at hard off. Like they would be at like one of those recycler chains.
Right.
Yeah. But they've got that stuff.
Or they'll be you just go to Japan auctions or Yahoo Japan auctions and just buy one there.
Yeah.
You want to see the other thing? I'm just going to tell you right now, if you do that, like any of those intermediary things, you are bidding against other, gaijin that are there to buy all of that stuff too. So it's, you might end up paying a little bit more. Well, I think what the trick is you give James Wages your debit card number and just send him to the store and let him just buy it as somebody already in country. But the other thing I was gonna show off is something that does pass for being able to be exported software wise are sometimes racy titles. These are sort of some simulator games for the Macintosh and for Windows,
or stimulator games.
Yeah, and the reason why I purchased these is actually because this
you're a pervert.
Gotcha. Yeah, yes, but no, actually, I'm not really titillated by that stuff. I think it's interesting.
Sure.
That basically the CD-ROM revolution was exactly like the VHS revolution. If you understand exactly what drove sales. Okay, so.
There's a reason Betamax
what helped drive sales. Yeah, what helped drive sales. I won't say that it's 100% that what did it, but time shifting is what did it. But then also being able to go behind the beaded curtain.
Right.
So, but this was the thing, and this was in the pile, and it just was whatever, and I didn't really know what it was. But there's precious little English on it. One of the words is Macintosh. The other words are Berkeley Systems After Dark.
Oh, cool.
So I was like, well, what is this? Well, it turns out that this CD is a promotional thing that was only available for a very limited time in Japan. It says adults only. There's nothing adults only about it. It's an After Dark screensaver for promoting the Virtual Valerie 2 game.
Oh, I see.
Interesting.
Basically, it just shows the cover of the box art and things like that. But it is funny because it's a real After Dark module that is like a little cat and mouse chasing themselves around, or the cat is chasing the mouse around the screen, and it's kind of like stop, like just screenshot kind of animation, and the cat will get close to the mouse, and he's got a mallet, and he hits, and then it knocks out the background, and then now you see a little bit more of the cover of the of the box art. It's just a silly thing. It's not. It is. If there's anything titillating about this is the least titillating. But I just figured that for the sake of preservation, that it would be good to grab a copy of that. So I did.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's been a busy couple months. And
Yeah,
now
I feel like I said, I haven't seen you guys. I haven't been on group chat. I have since about mid-June. Just the way the school year works here, it gets very busy towards the end. And I just, I come home and all I want to do is go to sleep.
Yeah, I get it. And being from the future doesn't help either. So.
It doesn't. It's very tiring.
Yeah.
Listen, I flew in last time. My arms are completely shot.
Yeah, it's exhausting knowing what all the lotto numbers are going to end up being.
I know, and then still not being able to win for some reason. It's terrible.
Well, it's because you're already in the future. They don't do you any good. You're like Cassandra or whatever,
right?
Where it's like you can see the future, but nobody believes you.
Right.
Is that who that is? Was it Cassandra?
I think it's Cassandra. Yeah, that sounds right.
That's fine. Sorry. If there's any ancient Greeks in the audience tonight, I'm sure they'll correct me.
Well, guys, Frank messaged and said they were just getting home now, and he was very busy dealing with some stuff for work, so he apologized for not being here. Yeah, I don't know if there's anything else anybody wanted to promote. Is there anything you guys doing anything this weekend that needs promotion? I know Dave's usually Sunday thing is happening, so I'm sure it'll be the same.
I might live stream tomorrow morning.
Okay,
I hope you do.
Yeah. Trying to get back into it again. And honestly, it's like I was heads down so much on the game that I'm burning out a little bit, but I bought some time. I've got it under control. So
cool. Yeah. Well, I guess if that's everything and everybody's happy, we'll shut her down for this evening. I want to leave you with a little pearl of wisdom that I've learned recently in the last couple of days, and it seems appropriate for our current world that we live in, and it goes a little something like this: time is the currency we spend without knowing the balance. So use your time wisely, because you don't know the balance.
It's true. Or you could be like Soren from Star Trek Generations. Time is the fire in which we all burn, Captain.
Correct. Well, guys, have a good night. It's been fantastic seeing you. Hope to see you again next week. I will probably be available next week, I think.
Yeah.
If not, I will be in the cabin and I won't be available. But I will attempt to at least pop in to say hello from my phone. So, fantastic, guys. Have a fantastic evening. And Ron, any other pearls of wisdom before we hit the end stream button?
No, I would just say that don't forget that this weekend, maybe even starting right now, you check out the Kansas Fest stuff last weekend. Don't forget that Knit Hello, which is a new vintage computing 2-day event that's taking place. Actually, I think it starts tomorrow, but they might have had a soft open tonight. It's at the System Source Museum coming up, or at System Source Museum in Massachusetts, I think. I forget where it's at. I just know that I was so busy this week that and I had a go live project at work that ended up taking several extra days. It pushed out me being able to attend. I'm looking forward to seeing those folks. Even Chris said he's sad that he's going to miss Knit Hello. It looks like it'll be a lot of fun. They've got a lot of really great speakers. There's some nice people that are involved with System Source at Hunt Valley, Maryland. Thank you. Sorry, didn't mean to say Massachusetts. I knew it was one of those M states, and it wasn't Missouri or Montana.
Unfortunately, it's not Michigan either.
Oh, I forget about Michigan.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's sort of like
we're almost like part of Canada.
Yeah, Wisconsin kind of, and Minnesota kind of pushes it.
Don't you know?
Yeah.
Cool. Well, Ron, Eric, it's been a slice.
Yeah.
I hope to see you next
Ryan.
week.
Good to see you, Eric. Yeah.
Good to see you guys. And thank you everybody in the chat for attending. And with no further ado, I guess I will click end stream.
Good.